Hello, and welcome to the Secret Hideout Show's Artist Spotlight. Today we're talking to Anthony Conley, also known as Hands and Feet, right?
Hands and feet. You. That's me.
So we talk a little bit on the Did You Hear That episode with Eric about kind of where Hands and Feet started, but where did you start in the music scene?
I actually started my junior year of high school. I grew up in a small town called Gila Bend, about 40 minutes out of Mexico. And me and my friends, we were a small group of like metalheads, and maybe like six of us. And one of the kids in my class, he was the drummer for his older brother's band, Ashes of a Fallen Hero. And they needed a guitarist, and I knew guitar, so I didn't have an actual like electric at the time. So I restrung the lead guitarist, Brian. I restrung his guitar, his EX, big old pointy Z looking one, ESP. I restrung it upside down like Hendrix style, and I played on that. And we would go play shows basically every weekend. That's actually how I originally met Trey, Lavkai, my producer. I met him through shows our junior year. He was just actively going to shows, and I would play with this. We'd play with this band In Your Honor, and he was really good friends with all them. And him and I just met there, and we've been best friends ever since. But yeah, between that and then once I got out of high school, I moved up to the Valley from Gila Bend, and even before that, I was actually going to hardcore shows and metal shows. And then from there, once I moved up to the Valley, then I was going like constant, ended up working at the venue for a while and this and that, and just started doing poetry. And then many years of that transitioned into what I'm doing now, and also did vocals for a hardcore band, Injustice, a heavy hardcore band. Did that for a few years. So just actually going to shows, needed an outlet. I was an angry kid going through what I went through, like most of us, and gravitated to angry music, and was blessed to have the music scene as an outlet when I needed it most.
That's awesome. I feel the same way about it. So then, knowing Trey, did you know Kevin Helms as well? Drummer for
yeah, of course. My shouts out My Only Virtue. That's ancient ruins right there. My Only Virtue / Prayers for Tomorrow.
Cool to Be Kind.
Kevin and all the crew.
Gatlin AD, Legend by Name.
That's history right there.
Yeah, he's actually living out in Berkeley right now. he and a couple other dudes.
I haven't really like connected with him too much over the past couple of years, but I mean, we were pretty active, like communicating for a long time. Honestly, he kind of like fell off the face of the earth a little bit, which is like totally understandable.
Oh yeah, well
so he's doing this thing.
Cool. He and I actually grew up together. He and my mom went to middle school together. They were like 12 when they met. So like I've known that kid
that's crazy.
my whole life. I remember
dude.
Being like 15, 16, watching him play like Judas Priest or something on the drums and just blistering a set, like just killing it.
Always.
So what are some of your other favorite older bands then, if we ran in the same scene apparently?
Shouts out Redeemer, Arizona, peak of Arizona hardcore for me. Redeemer forever. Honestly, I have like all their old merch still, and like I rode so hard for Redeemer. And what was it, Red something, the Red Baron? No, Red Baron was another band.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's gone.
Yeah, I can't
Lost in the ether.
off the top of my head, but I mean, there was so many like bands that were going on between metalcore and hardcore, and like, but I mean, the one that's like stuck with me to this day is definitely Redeemer. And they weren't Arizona like local, but Sovereign Strength played here almost, it felt like every weekend with Redeemer. So Sovereign Strength forever. I'll end up getting a Sovereign Strength tattoo at some point, like
Nice.
freaking forever. Yeah. Those are the ones that stand out the most to me.
I was really into like Composer Meat Corpse, Gringos
Yeah.
Locos, Depraved Heretic, a lot of the death metal side for some reason I got into.
Totally understandable. There's some amazing talent, amazing guitarists, and like Gate Creeper, obviously. Like
March Against
they're
Fear.
Gate Creeper straight up putting Arizona on the map, you know. So classic, good stuff.
So then I know you're also pretty heavily into suicide prevention and awareness.
Oh, you froze up a little bit.
Oh no, so did you. We good? You moving? Good. Oh, you're frozen. Can you hear me at least?
You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
There it goes. Sorry. No, you froze up for a little bit on my end. Last thing we mentioned, Gate Creeper, March Against Fear.
I was going to say then, I know that you're pretty heavily into suicide prevention and suicide awareness. How did you get into that?
Actually, sorry. Before we do that, I totally spaced. Obviously, Job for a Cowboy and Knights to the Abyss. Oh my gosh, Knights to the Abyss is dead. Yeah, for real. Rest in peace, Griff. For real. Yeah, freaking. I knew Knights to the Abyss EP and then their first full length, like front to back on guitar, like, and Job for a Cowboy, like the Doom EP is legendary forever. So shouts out all of them. I really want to get the Job for a Cowboy vocalist on a track at some point. Like,
that would be so cool.
I don't know how the heck I'm gonna do it, but I got Brooke from Pending Doom on a track, and I need a homie from Job for a Cowboy on a track for sure. Like,
let's make it happen. Shout out to Job for a Cowboy.
But yes, suicide prevention. I don't remember if I mentioned in the episode, but so when I was 13, I lost my cousin Matt to suicide.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, briefly. And then my dad overdosing, intentional overdose. He was pronounced dead on the scene, and was revived at the hospital somehow. They didn't have an explanation for it, but he kind of like walked out after that for whatever reasons for him. So it always kind of like loomed over my family. And then I had a few homies growing up that I grew up with who I lost to suicide. And so I was really like angry and kind of didn't really like talk about it at all for like from 15 to like 18. Just like the people who are closest to me knew about it and like whatnot, but I wasn't like really open about it until like 18, 19 or so. And I kind of like hit a wall, and I was like, I was feeling like I didn't want to live anymore. But I knew I could never like put my mom through what like I had to watch my aunt go through with burying her child. And so I obviously I could never like follow through with it, obviously. And like I had all my really close friends around me who kept me sane and kept me alive, honestly. And just my faith, you know, kind of like sometimes you hit rock bottom and that's when you realize you need some kind of faith or belief or hope, whatever it is for you, from you, it's God.
Love to cling to.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just made sense to me. And I had found Levi the Poet, he's a spoken word poet, and Trey the Ruler, and which were two sides of the spectrum. Trey the Ruler grew up like religious, and then went a direction when he became an adult, and kind of like found it for himself, whether I'm not sure if he's atheist or agnostic or whatever. But then Levi the Poet on the other spectrum, very like faith driven, very openly Christian, this and that. So I had both sides of the spectrum, but both just painting mental health in the light that I had never like truly seen it so direct, you know, like Levi the Poet on his album Werewolves has, I believe it's the last track on there. But it's literally like he wrote his suicide note. And as he was writing his suicide note, he started thinking about his younger sister having to open up Christmas presents without him on Christmas Day. And so he couldn't go through with it. And when I heard it put from a faith perspective of like, yo, I'm dealing with suicide ideation, but I know I can't follow through with it. When I heard it that way, it like the light switch kicked on for me. And I skated. It was like 3 a.m. I remember I skated to the Walmart that was close by, and I grabbed a journal. I grabbed pens, and I just filled the journal up. I didn't sleep at all through that night, and then through the rest of the day. And it was just like unloading my thoughts for the first time between my dad and the relationship that had fallen apart that I was in for a couple of years. And I was just at my lowest point, and I just unloaded in the journal all my thoughts and everything. And then like it was kind of like pressed on my heart, and suddenly like I was looking over what I had written after I had finished, and it was really pressed on my heart to make this into poetry, because just like hearing Levi the Poet, hearing Trey the Ruler, like I knew the kids locally at least needed to hear it as I heard it. And it's funny because like large crowds make me anxious as heck, because I'm deaf in one ear. So all of the sound goes to one spot.
Ooh, I can imagine.
Yeah, so being in large crowds and being in front of people, like it was never my thing, you know. Besides, like if I was playing in a band, it was fine because the attention wasn't just on me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but for me, it was like he's like, nah, like this is where I want you. These kids need you. And I was like, all right. So I did it, and it was just me and a mic, no backtracks. And I was really close with the venues and the bands. So I was just like, yo, can I just like hop on and play in between sets while people are like cycling through? And they're like, yeah, for sure, of course. So I started, and I would invite kids to come up and talk to me at the merch tables or just outside, and whatever they needed in that moment, you know, if they needed to laugh, if they needed to cry, if they needed a prayer, if they just needed to vent, if they just needed somebody to sit with them in silence, that's what I did. And I was on like almost every show. I was playing like 6 shows a month.
That's
and
awesome.
just paving the way. And then I started touring and doing the same thing. And I did the full US. I've done the West Coast 5 times, Midwest 3 times, Canada once or twice. And I just did it. You know, I would just hop in vans with bands like Paper Towns. There's a local band. Yeah, Paper Towns. Shouts out King's Divide. Shouts out Johnny Lemons and Jordan and Davey and all them. Dylan. Dylan is actually who was the drummer. Once they transitioned into rock, Dylan, he's a drummer. He's actually my graphic designer, permanent. Like, so he's with Sorrow Circle. He's a graphic designer for Sorrow Circle. Still one of my best friends, my brothers, Dylan, Clinton. If you need design work, hit him up. He does amazing work. Anything you see that's design work is for HandsxFeet is him. The cross noose logo.
So cool.
He came up. We sat in his room when he was just learning graphic design, and I was like, I want to put a cross with a noose at the end to replicate, like to signify God or hope is greater than suicide. And we just sat there and did it. It was like 4 a.m. and we had drank like so much coffee, and we were just sitting there at his computer, and I'm just like, we just brought it to life right there, you know. So shouts Dylan. That's the homie. That's my brother. Yeah, and I just like. I wanted to paint it in such a transparent light. And so I wasn't seeing anybody doing it the way I needed it. So like I mentioned in the episode, Take It Back, Be the Change You Want to See in the World. I saw the need and I filled it. And I just hit the ground running, and I just kept going and I kept going, and it's taken many forms over the years. And now it's where we're at now. I go from teaching mental health lectures at local high schools, or youth groups, to playing rap music and trap and hardcore and everything in between. You know, it's just, especially the music that the kids are listening to, like I listen to it too, so I know what they're listening to. I know Suicide Boys, I know Ghost Main, I know Star Lord, I know I know City Morgue, and it's all just like chaotic and violent and negative, and that's totally okay because that's what hardcore was for me.
It's
Hardcore is
catharsis.
yeah, exactly. Besides like Half Heart or like Take It Back or Close Your Eyes or like that wave of like melodic hardcore that was like 100th, like old 100th.
Yeah.
I was like super like positive and stuff like that. Like it's just it's angry, it's loud, and you let your aggression out. So I get it. And a lot of these artists aren't looking to be role models. It just worked for them, you know?
They got to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. Just like we do. But like I have already found my healing, and I'm still healing, but I have found my healing to the point where I know how to help others heal. I'm certified in crisis intervention. I have the 10 years of experience in suicide prevention of quite literally talking people off the edge in the life and death situations. I've handled those situations. I know what I'm doing. I've handled every possible like situation with suicide or depression or anxiety that you can think of. I've handled it directly. I have the experience under my belt. And so I know how to be transparent, make it genuine, but have kids get to the next step. It's like, okay, we understand how we're feeling. We understand that we're anxious, we're depressed, we're facing suicide ideation. Now let's get you the tools that you have within yourself, get you the tools to save yourself. Because nobody could save another person. I don't have it in me to save anybody else. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can water the flowers, but you can't make them choose to grow. So helping kids realize that they have the power to heal within themselves. And so that's what I'm doing with suicide prevention.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And honestly, that was, like I said in our Did You Hear That episode, is like, that was what had drawn me to you originally, because I had never heard your music until like probably a year or two ago. But 3-4 years ago, I started following you and I think Nathan. I don't remember. He doesn't have me added on there anymore. But it was just such a cool thing to see, because I was doing the same thing over here by myself. I was sitting outside my apartment every day with a sign that said "Love yourself more," because I was just so bummed about how sad everyone was, you know?
That was it, man. That was it for me too. I lost one of my childhood friends a few years back, probably almost 5 years now, 5-6 years. But it was around the same time that the time of year when I lost my cousin. It was a leap year, so I lost him February 29th, but April 1st. And it was around that same time of the year, and work was really stressful at the time. I was working 2 jobs, like 70 to 90 hour work weeks. I was really, really going through it. And it was a Monday. And I just had this vision of holding a sign that said, "You are loved, you have purpose, suicide is not the answer." And it was just like, I had this vision in my mind of me just like standing on the street corners and just encouraging the cars as they passed. So I had clocked out. It was about 6:00. I had cardboard at the shop. I just took a box cutter, cut off one of the ends, took a Sharpie, wrote "Suicide is not the answer," and stood out on the corner on a Monday for 2 hours. And I did it every single Monday, unless I was on tour for 3 or 4 years, every single Monday. And I would do the same sign for a while, and then I would switch it out, this and that, to a different message, whatever was pressed on my heart. It was like, "You are loved, forgive yourself, be the change you want to see," things like that, just like inspirational quotes. And dude, the life change that happened over those years, it's such a simple concept, and especially in the concept of like a ministry or outreach, like most outreach, you're like praying over people or giving a slice of pizza to somebody who doesn't have a meal for the night. You see the direct, tangible fruits of your labor. Yeah. When you're holding a sign to cars passing, you don't get to see the fruits of the labor. You don't know if somebody saw your sign unless they honked. You don't know what they're going through when they pass it. You just got to leave it up to fate, leave it up to God, leave it up to higher power, leave it up to destiny, whatever it is for you. Like, you just have to trust that maybe the right person saw it, And I literally have lost count of how many times somebody has pulled off the road, ran into my arms crying, saying they were on their way to go kill themselves directly. I had this girl who had attempted like 5 times, and she had shut her phone off so they couldn't GPS track her, and she was going to a park to overdose on pills and just die. Those were her exact words. And she pulled off the road broken, in tears, and just ran into my arms weeping, and was just like, I was literally going to go kill myself, but I saw your sign that said suicide is not the answer, and I couldn't do it. And so we brought her back to the building where I'm doing it, and we just sat there with her and prayed with her and talked with her and connected her to some counselors. And I'm not sure what she's doing now or whatnot, but she got to a place where she was okay. She didn't need us anymore, you know? And that's my goal. I want people to get to the point where they don't need me. I'm still here, obviously, but I want to get people to the point where they don't need me anymore. They have the tools, they have the resources, they have the ability to recognize the red flags. Something's off. I need to adjust my medication. I need to go back to therapy. I need to call this person. I need to just go out and breathe. I need to go on a walk. Like, whatever works for them, whatever they need. Like, when I counsel somebody, I sit them down or I message them or we have a phone call, and I'm like, okay, let's get to the root of this. What's bringing your anxiety on? And it's like, oh, it's bills. Oh, school. Oh, I'm going through a breakup. My parents got divorced. I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm unpacking the sexual assault trauma. I'm struggling to find my sexual identity, whatever have you, across the board. And then we talk about it, and we get to the root of their problem. And then from the root of their problem, I help them assess, do we need to get them on medication? Do we need to get them to counseling, to therapy, regular therapy? What's your red flags? Large crowds. How do we mentally prepare yourself for large crowds? Things like that. Work. I'm not good at talking over the phone, but I work at a telemarketing place because that's the job that I need, that's available to me right now. Okay. Well, how do we help you mentally prepare for work? How do we help you decompress after work? Like, all these checklists. Like I said, I've dealt with every situation across the board you can think of. And how do we get people to the point where they don't need me anymore? So that's the goal, you know. And the signs were an outlet. I plan on bringing it back again at some point. It was for a season, and whenever the season comes back for it, I'm ready to do it. When I'm on tour, whenever that happens again, I'm going to have that same sign with me. When I perform, it'll be with me at the merch table. Like, this is what I want Hands and Feet to be.
Are you still there?
Surfing. Meet me back at the table, and if we gotta do what we gotta do, if I'm there for an extra 3 hours talking kids through it, like, that's what we're doing, you know. Like, that's what it's about. It's not about me.
When you do that, reach out to me. I'd like to be a part of it, man. I think that would be amazing to even pull the scene together. Cross genre, anybody to do this kind of thing. Let's make it a huge effort if we can. I would love to.
Yeah, of course.
One last quick thing before I let you go. Eric tells me you make an amazing cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to plug your shop or anything like that?
Yes. Peixoto Coffee has been my home for almost 4 years now. They took me in with like minimal experience, and my coffee mentors, Kim Hawk, who now owns his own shop, him and his fiance Eugenia, Pearworks in Mesa, they're Insider Corps. Pear.cupworks. And then my other coffee mentor, Eric Hervey, him and his partner Kat, they own Mythical Coffee in Gilbert, as well as Infusion Coffee, as well as there's always Press, of course, and Cartel, places like that. The specialty coffee is something special, literally. And it's been my home, and I'm so blessed for the people who have taken me in, who have taught me what I do. And now I get to mentor. Now I'm training baristas and I'm training people. But yes, Peixoto Coffee, downtown Chandler, that is my home.
Very cool.
That's my full-time job, and it's the biggest blessing. This is the first time I'm actually a manager there now, and it's the first time in my life the last 4 years where I haven't, since 17, I've been working 2 to 3 jobs. And Julia and Jeff, the owners, they have blessed me with the great paycheck every single twice a month, every other week. The tips are amazing. We have an amazing community. I only have to work one job, and it's something that I'm passionate about, that like I incorporate it with mental health, you know, because it's something that I know brings me joy. When I make a pour over in the morning, it's my ritual. It's like I get to decompress. I'm breathing. I sit down and I have my cup of coffee, and I get to bring that smile to people's face. And not so much now with COVID going on. Our shop is very minimal seating. We have like 6 seats inside, and then we have a line set up with the social distancing. But it used to be you get to sit at the bar and you have these conversations. And I've literally done counseling sessions with people across the bar while I'm working. Later on in the evening, like 4 o'clock or so, they come through and we just sit there and talk life. There's been tears over coffee. There's been laughter over coffee. Coffee is cultural. It's worldwide. It's
Delicious.
a language, and yeah, it's amazing. And like, it's so beautiful. The world of specialty coffee, like it's my sanity, and I get to do that for a living, and not resenting my job. When you like, dude, I've worked the most miserable jobs you could think of, but it helps provide me with the means to do what I do musically and creatively, and with suicide prevention. Suicide prevention is my ministry. It's my outreach. As of right now, it's not paid. I think I've gotten paid for like 1 speaking gig, but like that's so. I've worked jobs as a stepping stone to get those means, and I always will. But it's such a blessing to be able to clock in and not dread being there, actually loving what I do. Like I can't explain that feeling unless you've felt it. It's so hard to explain, like not hating where you work to get that paycheck to survive. Like, so I'm so blessed. Yeah. So if you're ever in downtown Chandler, come through. I got you. You personally, and whoever's watching this, like I got you. I'll walk
Oh, we're losing you.
through the menu, whatever you like. Cold frappuccinos. I can make you a drink that tastes sweet, or I can make you a straight black cup of coffee. That I've had people who drink caramel frappuccinos, and when they taste our coffee for the first time as it's intended, they're like, wow, I have never had coffee like this before. And I convert them to a pour over coffee or straight espresso, because so many places burn the crap out of their beans.
Yes.
And the misconception of espresso roast or espresso blend where it's just burnt to crap and it tastes burnt and it's strong. Like, no, like coffee isn't supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be light roast. You're supposed to bring out the characteristics of it. And this is a whole nother conversation. I could talk this forever. But yes, shouts out Peixoto Coffee, shouts out Mythical, Peridot Cupworks, Infusion, all those places. Arizona coffee is being put on the map because of these places, and I'm so blessed.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, I was that way, is like until I was probably like 21, I wouldn't drink coffee because everyone I knew made a dark roast and they put salt in it for some reason.
It sucks.
Yeah. And I was like, I would drink it and I'd be like, I'm drinking sludge and my mouth hurts. I like my teeth feel grimy. And then I had like a blonde roast, like fresh ground. It was so nice.
Yep.
So
oh yeah. Also shouts out Union, my homie John roasts for Union in the West Valley, as well as Driftwood and Cream Coffee in Central Phoenix, and as well as Dark Dark Hall Coffee, all vegan. Shouts out Dark Hall Coffee. Shouts out veganism. Beautiful. Vegan straight edge. Yeah, those are other specialty shops in the valley, whether you're on the East Valley, whether you're in Central, whether you're in West Valley. There's amazing coffee. I promise you, type in specialty coffee near me. Something will come up and you won't have to pay these large corporations to give you crap coffee loaded with sugar. Shop local, help out local coffee shops that are busting their butt to stay alive right now.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Anthony. You're a beautiful human being, and I'm glad to have met you. I'm glad to have talked to you. This will be posted Friday, so get the word out. We'll start posting like previews and stuff for it. And I'm gonna do some custom art actually for HandsxFeet, and then I'm gonna release like a short story about you tomorrow too. That'll be
appreciate it. I appreciate the love. It's part of the community, and I'm blessed by you. I'm blessed by Eric, and
well, thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
Have a great day, man.